In this video, I'm going to show you how can you deal more damage with your SSR Rappi. Hey all, Mukuro here. We finally have SSR Rappi and she's brilliant. I'm going to cover her kit so you can use her better, but there are also timestamps, so feel free to jump to the parts that you're interested in. Rappi is a standard machine gun unit. She has 300 bullets and a 2.5 second reload time. Her multiplier is 5.57%, similar to Winterlude Milla. She can be used in different burst positions just like Red Hood, but Shift Up decided to not include burst 2 since Red Hood's was pretty bad. Her skill 1 as burst 1 reduces cooldown of burst skill and increases attack damage by 8%, just like Rogue. As burst 3, it increases Rappi's attack by 95% and damage to parts by 45%, slightly lower than Scarlet Black Shadow if that sounded familiar. Skill 2 is where her gameplay shows itself. She can also use elemental advantage against electric enemies. This is the Red Hood part. It is important to note that game still sees her as a fire unit, not iron. Every 120 bullets fired, or 2 seconds in 60 FPS and 4 seconds in 30 FPS, she fires an attachment. They look like red stars just like on Rappi's hat. When full burst activates, these attachments explode. That is also why she deals massive damage when you activate burst. It has a two-step damage. First when it attaches and then when it explodes. They have the same multiplier of 88%, but both gain bonuses to their damage from this same skill. Attachment itself gains 150% and explosion gains 100%. She can stack these attachments but can fire one in any given time, so she cannot stack them on herself then fire them later. Her burst, if she's burst 1, she reduces the cooldown of burst skills by 20 seconds and gives 18% of her own attack to allies for 10 seconds. The more attack you have, the better. It also doubles her explosion radius. If she's burst 3, it deals some damage to a mob this triggers once. Quadruples her attachment placement damage, not explosion, and halves the required ammo for firing an attachment during the burst duration. For skill prioritization, burst, skill 1, then skill 2. Even skill levels at 1, she's going to outdamage your other DPSs. But if you are on a budget, get 747. For recommended, it is 10-7-10. Each level is a big boost, so you want to max them all this time. For gear and overload recommendation, if you don't have much XP, first get all to OL, then level up helmet, gauntlets, then chest piece. You can actually skip boots, but you want to upgrade it for CP in campaign. Since she's a DPS and a really good one, you want 4 elemental, 4 attack, 2 to 3 ammo, but you can consider the 4th ammo as well if you can get it. For co-op specifically, elemental is a bigger buff to a unit's damage, so feel free to sacrifice attack specifically for co-op. Otherwise, you want both. Try to reach these, but don't be sad if you are missing some. I rarely manage to roll attack on units. As a side note, she uses 300 ammo with Bastion and 400 ammo with any other cube during burst, so try to get at least 2 ammo rolls on her. Thank me later. For cube, you have 3 options, but it's more like one option. Bastion is the way to go for all machine gun units. It acts like 40% final max ammo and also saves your reload in middle of burst. But you can run resilience as well. It is mostly about what you have on your rolls. If you cannot get ammo rolls, this might be better, since you are going to reload, might as well do it faster. And no, she cannot insta-reload with Crown. There's also Wingman, but snipers want Wingman more, so you probably gonna use this on someone else. You want to max the doll since she is using the attack on both burst 1 and burst 3, and this is going to affect her performance as a buffer as she gives her own attack to others, unlike Litter, which is a set amount. Machine gun dolls are nothing interesting, they just give 10% ammo and tanky attack as usual. For unit combos, we want to use best buffers for her since she is the second best fire and best iron DPS in the game. She's way easier to build compared to Alice, so you can call her the best fire DPS freely. I will mostly tier them since you might not have some of the characters and currently she doesn't have unique supports to help her. She just has combos other units can't do since she is fire. But these fire supports might be used for other teams. I'm specifically mentioning 3 fire comps. For burst 1, you will go with Litter. There is literally no better option. The other option is literally Rappi. Your second option is the Killer Wife, but you want to use this in the Red Hood team, so Litter it is. Rogue is surprisingly bad. I was really surprised actually. I would consider Exia Treasure as an option here, even though her buffs cannot be on Rappi since she's not electric. Exia's debuffs are going to help Rappi a lot though. I will be covering upcoming solo raid and future combinations she may have as well, so if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe to my channel. For Burst 2, Crown is the way to go. Pair it with a passive healer like Banyalis or Naga, but don't use Naga on solo raid though since you want to pair her with Tia. Even though she's a collab unit, Mari is pretty good as well, since she is just a mini crown for Pierce teams, but at the same time gives core damage bonuses. Burst 3, it feels weird to use collab units, but I wanna mention them head on so we can talk about the rest. Rei as a damage buffer is pretty good, but wants a decent amount of investment. You might also want to use her with Modernia in a fire solo raid. Asuka as a core damage buffer, even though my Asuka is on a budget build, she was buffing quite a lot. I was expecting no bonus whatsoever, but she was buffing Rappi as much as Rei. And if you don't have Eva units, which I can't blame anyone for not having, feel free to use the other possibilities that we have, such as Winter Ludmilla. She can be used with any DPS, and this is no exception here. If you are not running Exia, she's going to be amazing with Rappi. Privita can be used, but she's notably weaker than the rest. For future options, it is either collab unit or a treasure unit, since Drake and Helm are getting one. They might be the buffer she needs that can also deal some damage. For teams, specifically for solo raid, since we have to drop Naga, we have to use other methods to buff Rappi and deal damage that way. It is not a great idea to sacrifice Asuka's damage here, but she's a sub DPS, not a main DPS, so it is manageable to use her here. If you don't have Asuka or want to use her in a different team, you have a second option. Feel free to change units to what I have mentioned in the previous section if you are missing any. It is weird to talk about Heart Campaign, but she's a competitor, so I would say we can finally replace Litter. And Asian players have been using Red Hood as a burst one for a long time. But we have a dedicated DPS Red Hood with high attack buffs, so this is an option if you are lacking attack like me in your campaign push teams. For Elemental, use these variations on bosses. For pulls and dupes, get a copy for sure, and if possible, ticket her, since she has a lower chance to get compared to other units since she actually is a pilgrim, but wears a Elysian gear, and from what I have seen, she doesn't gain much from dupes, but this might be as simple as me having 0 attack rolls on her. I will add a pinned comment if she gets better with dupes. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.